Welcome back everyone. In this lesson we will go more in depth about locators. As you know, in the previous lection about selectors we spoke a little bit about locators, but here we'll touch a bit on more subjects. So, as you can see from the last test that we wrote in our previous lesson, we already used locators. The way you invoke them is by using a page.locator, then the selector, and then you perform a specific action. Let me show you a different way you can store a locator. So for example, if I say locator, I give it a name, like so, and then delete the action, what it will do, it will store the definition of my element, but just so you know, when you do this, it won't actually interact with the page, so it will not try to check it in the page. If I do something like locator.click and then let's say locator.hover, the way Playwright works is it will only search for the element and check the states corresponding to each action if you actually invoke an action. So if I have two sequential actions like this, a click and then a hover, for each action it will go back to the page and try to identify it. So it will not identify it at this row and then assume it already has it and do the hover. It will try to wait for the click to finish, and then after that happens, the page synchronizes again and hover will go through all the stages. Then it will try to locate the locator again. So this is how it works. Just have this in mind. Now if I go to the documentation, you should see that there are some rules about them. So for example, strictness. This means that let's say if I do something like this, page locator, and I use the selector, the CSS selector of button, and it returns 100 buttons, it will fail because Playwright will need to identify a single element to perform the action. If it identifies multiple elements that fit this selector, then it will fail. So have this in mind. You can use tricks like first, but usually, so selecting the first element out of all the elements that are returned, but usually that's a bad approach because you don't know exactly what you actually have selected. Okay, let's go back to the Best Buy page. I have it opened over here. So let's say that I want to fetch the names of all the menu items over here. So back to school, top deals, deal of the day, and so on. So if I take a look at how this looks, you can see that it's actually inside the unordered list, and then you have list items for each menu item. So locators has a cool feature where you can do something like this. You can define a locator. Let's delete this because we will not need it anymore. We will define a locator such as, let's say, menu items, let's call it like this, invoke page.locator, and here I'm going to pass a selector that will identify multiple list items. So let's check how this is written. So I have an unordered list with the class of bottom left nav. Okay, so unordered list dot the class. This is a CSS selector. And then I want to select each list item. Okay. So list items. And then I'm going for the actual link. If I can find it. So this is a span. Okay, this. Okay, so I will say something like this. So this will return all the links from the menu. Now at this point, I only have the locator, it doesn't identify anything. If I go and do menu items dot let's say all text contacts, this will return an array with it will return all the values, the text values of all the items that are identified over here. Let's print this out and see what it actually does. Okay, let's check this out. I'm going to debug this. Okay, again, it will navigate to Best Buy and try to fetch the menu, the link items over here. Okay, and if I go to the console, I can see that it has selected all the list items that have a link in them. Okay, and also pick these ones which are not shown because of the resolution of the window. Okay, another way you can do this is you can iterate through all of them. You can do something like this. Let's do a for loop. And I'm going to stop when I hit menu items.count. So you can invoke a count method to see how many items are returned. And I can use this as an index to iterate through them. And what I want to do is again print out. And the way you actually select them is you do menu items dot end element, pass the index, and then get the text context. So I'm going to comment the previous output that we had, and this will print out line by line all the the text for all the list items that have a link in them. Okay, let's debug this again and check that it actually works. Okay, let's wait for the page to load. Perfect. Check the console, and again you can see that we have all the text over here. Another item I would like to show you guys is, let's say, the selectors, locators have a way of filtering. If we look over here, you can pass something called page locator options set has text. And how we can use this, we can do something like this. So let's try to identify the button that we clicked previously, deal of the day. So what I'm going to do is invoke page locator, pass a selector. I'm going to copy the selector from here. So this again will identify all the links from that menu. And let's do the filtering. Here we can pass a filter, new page locator options. And I can say set has text, has text. And here pass the text of the button I want to interact with, which will be deal of the day. Deal of the day. Perfect. And then I want to click it. Okay, so basically we achieved the same functionality that we achieved in the previous lesson with selectors, where we try to click on that button using several approaches. But here we use a kind of a different approach where we can pass a filter on a selector that identifies multiple elements. Okay, I'm going to stop my debug session, run it again, and this time I expect that we will navigate to the deal of the day page. Okay, waiting again for the page to load. But okay, it will synchronize. Then it will click the deal of the day using the filtering locator, and we're done. Let's check that it actually did what we wanted, and it's all fine. Perfect. Okay guys, this is all for this lesson. See you in the next one.